Hi, this is Kevin Snyder, and I'm a husband, father, and estate planning elder law attorney at Snyder Law. And I just wanted to share a study that I came across from the University of Chicago. Now, University of Chicago did a study in 2019, and they updated it this past year. And their finding was that three-quarters of middle-income seniors in the United States are not going to be able to afford assisted living by 2033 without selling their homes. So, if the senior wants to sell their home, they might be able to dip into that to afford it. But just think of that in 10 years, just about 10 years from now, three-quarters of middle income seniors, which is a large amount of the population of just people, but in seniors especially, in just 10 years, they're not going to be able to afford their own assisted living care. So we're not talking about nursing homes, we're talking about assisted living. Assisted living, just you need some assistance. It could be independent living, or it could be that you need assistance with two activities of daily living, or you want to bring that assistance home and have that as in-home care. Three-quarters, so almost all middle income seniors aren't going to be able to afford that in 10 years without selling their home. Now, of course, if you want to stay home, most people do when polled, when asked, and I do this on a daily basis. So I'm not doing it to register a poll really, but just in having conversations with people, and we talk about advanced care planning, and I say, well, okay, let's talk about caregiving. If given a choice, where would you want to receive your caregiving? At home or elsewhere? Resoundingly, it's at home. Of course, it has costs associated with it. And if you have to sell your house to afford your caregiving, well, we all know you're not going to be home, right? So, this is a really, really important thing to know because this is a pending crisis. And this is a crisis for some people who are living this right now, of course, and know this very well, or they have parents that are living this reality right now. So, this is what I'm talking about. We need to get in front of that. Now, this study that I talked about, University of Chicago, where are they getting this data? So the researchers took a wide swath. So they examined gender, race, education, and they did a wide universe, wide selection pool, right? They estimated how they had to make some estimations about what the need was going to be. So they estimated based on factors in those demographics, based on research and data years prior, what their health was going to be, the cognitive functioning, their mobility status as they age, when they hit age 65, 75, 85, what that likely was going to look like. And of course, they could also model out what the costs are based on what the costs are today and how the costs have steadily risen over the last years. And of course, now what they discounted was inflation. So they're not talking about the cost rising from inflation, just historically how the costs of caregiving have risen in the last number of years. As a result of that, they've come up with that finding that people aren't going to be able to afford their care without selling their house. So here are some of the other things that they noticed in their study and some of the important numbers that you can take away. In 10 years, so 2033, they found that of the 16 million middle income seniors that they looked at, that would be over the age of 75 in that 10 years. So if you're 65 right now, we're talking about you, or your parents are 65 right now, we're talking about them. Roughly 9.5 million are going to be unmarried or widowed. So either they're divorced or widowed. They're going to be single. So 9.5 million. So more than half of them will be single. 4 out of 10 will not have family members living by to offer care or support. That's my reality. My parents live in Massachusetts. None of their children live close by. We all live in other states. For those that are over age 75, 54% of them will have 3 or more chronic health conditions. 56% will have mobility limitations, and 31% will have cognitive impairments, meaning onsets of dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Lewy body's disease. There's 72 different forms of dementia. So 31% will be suffering that or living that reality. So of that group, average financial resources will be, people will have less than $65,000 of income, which covers Social Security, pensions, any payouts on 401ks, IRAs, or any other annuities. They're going to be the max. That's not going to cover all of the health costs, personal care costs, housing services that they're going to need, and just general things that they need to live, like food. Maybe they want to buy some clothes, maybe want to go on a trip, or things like they want to give gifts to their family members. With the cost of inflation rising, that's going to be a problem as well. So they're basically not going to be able to afford their life in general, and certainly not if they need extra caregiving. So what does that mean? They're going to have to sell their house. So if they're forced to sell their house, or they're going to have to lean on adult children for financial support. So if they end up selling their house, or even if they lean on their adult children for financial support, guess what? There's still going to be a gap, a financial gap, because even that might not be enough, or only last a limited period of time. In other words, that 75-year-old that has those needs, what if they live to 85? That's 10 years of outlay of financial resources. So what are they going to do? So what does that mean for us moving forward? So I've identified the problem. Look, in 10 years, it's bad now. In 10 years, it's going to be really bad. So what are we going to do to get in front of that? Well, of course, we can do things like go to our government, our legislature, and we can kind of stump and promote changes in the law to make Medicaid programs like Medi-Cal here in California more accessible to a wider variety of individuals, and make them more accessible from a standpoint of people going into the group, how much money is going to be in the pool, to where they can spend that money. Currently, there's limitations. It's assisted living is generally not covered in that, at least not effectively. So are we going to be more expansive in the government support for caregiving for middle income seniors? Or what is available now in the long-term care industry, making perhaps long-term care policies a little bit more accessible and affordable for those that are 45, 55, 65 now, to get into paid up policies that will help them later when they need it. And lastly, getting in front of some estate planning solutions. And there are some really good ones. Again, I know because that's what we do here and work with families every week in order to solve that question. Because the question that I get on the phone is, we just found out how much the in-home care is going to cost, or the assisted living is going to cost, and mom and dad just won't be able to afford that. What can we do? And so we're sitting in crisis dealing with that. And let me tell you, the options are extremely limited in a crisis. Whether it's a healthcare crisis, we're dealing with estate planning, or anything in life, and you think about it, right? In the crisis moment, you think about, gee, it would have been a lot better if. We're trying to solve that moving forward by encouraging these conversations now, when you are younger, or your mom and dad are younger, and maybe you don't have any of the health issues now. But statistically, we know, we went through those statistics. We know more than half of the people are going to have some health issues. More than half, 56% are going to have mobility issues. 31% are going to have cognitive decline and some challenges there. So we know that that's coming down the road. So we have to face the reality, and it's a lot better if we look at the planning now and the solutions. That there are a lot more solutions available to get access to government dollars to insulate and protect other assets, so you don't have to sell your house, that you can keep that in your family and for you as a backup plan should you continue to live to 100, 101, 117. So as modern medicine improves, there are those opportunities for some of us. So we have to be able to afford our cost of living and care. So I just wanted to bring this to you because it's a number that came across my desk recently in the study that I read, and it's so true. And I want to encourage you and arm you with the information that you need to be able to help those that you love. So again, my name is Kevin Snyder. I'm a husband, father, and estate planning and elder law attorney. I enjoy the mission of getting out and helping people be able to solve the Rubik's Cube of affording caregiving for mom and dad as they age. And it'll be a privilege, and I welcome the opportunity to do so for your family. Take care. Keep being amazing.